Irgendwas ist hier.
Might want to take.
Hello up there! I seem to have fallen down a cliff.
Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is finally here, and thanks to Bethesda ANZ for sponsoring this video, I thought I'd list the top 5 reasons why you should check out Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, especially if you're an Indiana Jones fan, and a little bit with what to expect with its gameplay. But maybe if you're unsure as to whether you should check out Indiana's latest adventure or what to expect when this campaign starts, or maybe you just want some details regarding the story and the setting, I'm hoping this video helps you out.
You have any idea how old that was?
Firstly, for those of you a bit cautious, don't worry, I won't be going into spoilers regarding its story or puzzles, but you will see some locations that you'll visit throughout your time with the Great Circle and some general gameplay. But don't worry, I won't be showing any of the main answers to puzzles or any core story spoilers, so you're all good there. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle's setting takes place in 1937, 1 year after the events of Raiders of the Lost Ark and 1 year before The Last Crusade, and also 2 years after the Temple of Doom, as some people don't know the Temple of Doom is actually a prequel. But anyways, the game is set during that peak period of Indiana's progression, both as an explorer and in his personal life too, because he's already dealt with the Ark of the Covenant, and we, as the fans, get some more explanation between Indiana and Marion.
She was at her wit's end with you. I didn't know what to say.
It wouldn't have made a difference. She had her mind made up.
The story though starts off at Marshall College, where late one night someone breaks into the college and trashes an exhibit, which causes Dr. Jones to wake up in his office. After some investigation and a beatdown, Indiana wakes up and finds that multiple displays in the exhibit have been smashed and an artifact has been stolen. And with sort of a relic being stolen from his college, no less, Indiana Jones sets out on a journey to find out who broke into his college and return what was stolen. However, things aren't as simple as just tracking down a lead and Indy getting his artifact back to his college. No, you'll be following this trail around the world, from the city of the Vatican, exploring its hidden tombs and crypts. There's the sun-scorched lands of Giza, exploring dark tunnels and burial sites, as well as dig sites, sort of like what you get in Raiders of the Lost Ark, where scorpions will need to be kept back with flame torches, as well as the mountains of the Himalayas and the jungles of Thailand. And of course, it wouldn't be an Indiana Jones game set in 1937 without some familiar faces, places, and Easter eggs weaving their way into the story, like Marcus Brody, references to Marion Ravenwood, and of course, the famous fertility idol. In Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, you're not only experiencing a story set during Indiana's prime years, but you're playing as Dr. Jones himself, merging immersive first-person gameplay with third-person platforming moments. The Great Circle has you, the player, control Indy as you explore tombs, you sneak through enemy outposts, or creatively fight your way through confrontations. Now, while developed by Machine Games, the developers behind Bethesda's recent Wolfenstein series, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle isn't a first-person shooter, but rather an adventure title. Each main location sort of acts as a small sandbox, where Dr. Jones will be provided with side objectives, giving you, the player, options to step away from the main story for more rewards and skills. Now, the skill and progression system is done through exploration, taking photos of, say, historical landmarks, and even taking photos of people that Indy meets on his journey, which gives him points to unlocking skills, as well as completing side missions will give you points as well, and skills are found and learnt through finding books. So rather than just a traditional leveling up system with experience points and skill trees like with what we'd get in, say, Skyrim, Indiana learns from the books that he finds, which gives him buffs and extra abilities. Now, as Indiana isn't an action hero with multiple guns to swap out, you need to think and act like Indiana Jones. You're wearing a leather jacket, not a bulletproof vest, so bullets will deal some serious damage. So by using disguises, you can actually blend into your environments or settings, and it's sometimes the preferred method. But if you need to take out guards quietly, or you need the upper hand in close range combat, Indiana can pick up and use nearly any item around him, like brooms, hammers, glass bottles, and yes, even frying pans.
Tougher than you look.
However, the most useful tool is Indiana's iconic whip. Now, it's used for standard platforming like swinging from vantage points, climbing walls, and some puzzles, but Indiana's whip can also be used to disarm enemies, making fistfights that little bit easier, or even the noise from a cracking whip can scare off patrolling dogs or even wild dogs. Now, what's an Indiana Jones game without tombs to explore, ancient puzzles to solve, and artifacts to find? Now, in the Vatican, you'll be exploring ancient catacombs and hidden religious temples. Under the pyramids of Giza, you'll find some deadly traps, scorpions coming out of the sand to surface, wild dogs roaming around, and even some massive crypts that may or may not have more than a few mummies. Puzzles in the Great Circle can be experienced in one of two ways: in an assisted mode, where the gameplay changes to help out players to give them a bit of a leg up, or in the standard mode, which requires a bit more memory and a bit of reading, as everything is noted down inside Indiana's journal. For example, when exploring a earlier tomb, Indiana can take reference photos to place inside of his journal, and after you've found all those clues, you need to piece them together yourself. Now, on standard mode, you'll need to go through your journal multiple times and reread the clues that you have taken down. But reading notes in a journal isn't the only challenge when exploring temples, as Indiana will frequently utilize his iconic whip to swing across gaps and pull levers, as well as you need to watch your footing, as you never know when you stand on a trapdoor that opens up underneath you, or if something is swinging towards you. As you progress through the story too, Indiana will gain access to tools for his exploration, like a camera for documenting evidence, or a lighter to quickly light up any dark corridors you might be exploring, and as well, the lighter can be used for lighting torches and lamps for greater visibility. Now, not only do you play through the eyes of Indiana Jones, but you physically need to do every action as well, because Indiana Jones and the Great Circle acts more like as well a immersive sim rather than just a simple adventure game, where most actions require a button input, whether it's unlocking doors, pulling levers, or breaking locks. For example, some doors won't open automatically when you approach them, as Indiana will physically need to grab the door handle and open the door, which requires a button input for each of these actions. If the door is locked, then you, as Indiana, need to grab the key from your bag, put the key in the lock, turn the lock, and open the door. All again requires your button inputs, and the same goes with puzzles too, for when you need to use, say, a medallion to open up a hidden passageway, or interacting with handles or levers to open up some doors, or interact with some items. Now, when you're given a disguise for blending into dig sites or roaming around the Vatican, you'll need to open up Indiana's bag and change outfits, which will give you a little animation of him putting on whatever disguise he's wearing. And an added little piece of detail too is if you look down, you'll actually see Indiana. You will see his feet, his hands, his clothes, all of which react as you move around. Now, you may find yourself regularly sneaking through guard camps, and you'll find some weapon cabinets or some personal lockboxes, and you'll be able to break open these locks with blunt objects like, say, hammers or the butt of Indiana's pistol to snap off a lock. However, if you use Indiana's iconic revolver pistol, you can actually break the pistol itself, making it useless for any ranged combat, which means you will need to find repair kits to fix your revolver. Indiana will also need to heal himself with bandages, which takes time to apply, or eat bread and fruits that will give you buffs to your health and stamina will drain anytime you do anything strenuous, like scaling a wall, punching goons, or swinging a torch to fend off scorpions. Interacting with Indiana's journal too is all done without pausing the flow of gameplay. Opening up the journal to read notes, review clues, or even track missions is all done in real time, and there's also no map HUD as well, as Indiana will need to refer to physical maps which he folds out of his journal. And the map system too is immersive, as when you're looking at the map, it'll actually sit at the bottom portion of your screen, allowing you, the player, to look up and look down at the map and look to sort of see where you're going, a little bit like if you're a tourist walking around a city. Finally, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle's atmosphere and attention to detail brings the story and characters together. Exploring Marshall College in the first act gives you, yes, a sense of time, not only by setting the Great Circle a year after the events of Raiders of the Lost Ark, but with its accurate set pieces and Easter eggs such as Dr. Jones's classroom. Walking around the Vatican, you'll see priests and nuns walking through libraries, contractors renovating and restoring buildings with Indiana's footsteps loud on tiled floors, where in Egypt, the heat will cause landmarks off in the distance to wave and move just like you'd expect in the desert. When moving through underground temples and tombs, you'll mostly see nothing without a torch, but you'll have moments where the light will pierce through from a crack in the ceiling, and some graphical god rays and spiderwebs coat these crypts. And there are a couple of challenges that you'll face that are a little similar to the Holy Grail challenge in The Last Crusade. And as the story is set after Raiders of the Lost Ark and before The Last Crusade, there are familiar themes used when references are made to characters like, say, Marion, and Indiana's iconic theme weaves its way into the story. And of course, when you explore Marshall College at the start of the game, there are more than a few Easter eggs hidden around Indy's office and the classroom.
I love South America. Are you familiar with the Chechapoyan fertility idol last seen with a certain Renee Belloc?
But these are just a couple of reasons why, if you are an Indiana Jones fan like myself, why you should check out Indiana Jones and the Great Circle and what to expect with its gameplay. And thanks again to Bethesda ANZ for sponsoring this video, but whether you think Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom is the best in the trilogy, or you always be cautious when looking at a bowl of dates, always remember to play with each other and play with yourself.